everyone, my name is Bhavishya, and I guess in the previous lecture when we were learning about on this topology or this topology, I guess I forgot this R3 in the command of debug iprep. So here we are. So R3, what it is receiving is it is receiving from this 30.2 via this port on this fast Ethernet. It is receiving 20.1 with a hop count of 1, right? So it is getting the information of 20 network with a hop count of 1. It is installing the network with a hop count of 1. And then when it's time to send the network out, it is sending 20 dot network with a matrix of 2 to the respective forward network. And also 30 dot network is directly connected to R3. So it is sending the network with a hop count of 1, right? And the special thing to note here is when we see here it received the information about this network. Let's see, the network was this 172.16.10.65/26, but what it has received 17.16, what it is sending 17.16.0.0, right? Because if you see here, the subnetting here is not symmetrical, it's unsymmetrical. Here it's /26 and here it is /8, right? So this is what happened. Now let's forward with a new concept. Let me pause it. So this is our new topology, and here while I was configuring RIP for our router 1 in this topology, I had a question. Do here I have to configure 172.16.0.0? Let me hit enter. Or do I have to enter 172.16.10.0 as it is a uniformly subnetted network, right? It is configured in a uniform way. /26 overall the network. So let me figure out. Let me input both for now, let's suppose. And let us see its IP route. Show IP route. As you can see here, it is giving me 172.16.0.0. And also to confirm, we'll see it in show configuration, show running configuration. As you can see here, we inputted 2, but the major one got selected or displayed. Network 172.16.0.0 instead of 172.16.10.0, right? Yeah. Now let's check the routing table of R2. I guess RIP is not configured. Okay, let me do it. So this is what we have received from our R1 router. As you can see, 10.0, 10.64, 10.128, right? And this was directly connected. Now this happened because the network was uniform. It was all configured with /26, right? Now let me make it /25. Then we will see what happened. Okay, /25, and also we'll reconfigure it. Let me pause it here. With this command I have removed the IP address, and with this command I have given new IP address 255.128, that is /25. Now we have only 2 subnets, right? Okay, so now here if you look at the routing table of R2, you can see it is learning only 2 networks via RIP, because R1 is sending three networks, okay, 10.0, 10.64 and 10.128. If we will see in debug IP rep command, so it's sending all three, but R2 while receiving or while installing, what it is doing is it is applying its own subnet mask, and then with its subnet mask it is deciding which one to install in its routing table. So R2 has installed these two because it was of /25 having two, that means two subnets, so it is going to accept only two. Also we'll see debug IP rep. We have to wait for this. Let me pause. Okay, now if you see, let me pause. Okay, now if you see, your router 2 received all of these three, as I told you before, right? 0, 64, 128. But when it's about sending, okay, suppress on my trees. But when it's about installing, it just installs those two only, as you can see here. Wait a yes, it's just installing these two, 0 and 64, right? Yes. Now it was /25, right? Now let's make it a subnet 255.255.255.0 now, and let's see the magic what happens. Yes, now let us see. Before IP route, let's see debug IP rep. Why does it take so long? As you can see here, it's still receiving all the networks. As you can see here, it is still okay. Yeah, glitch. As you can see here, it is still receiving all the three networks, but let's see now what it is choosing to install in its IP, in its routing table. I guess it's an older entry. Let me pause and wait. Now here, as you can see, we have received this because it is /24, right? We have configured 255.255.255.0. So basically, no subnetting. So you haven't received any RIP packet, right? Or the control packet. Now let me make it like before, and we'll extend the topology. Let me pause it here. Now here I have extended the topology. I have attached one router 3 here with the network 20.0.0.0, and when we see it's debugging IP rep, understand this is a uniform one, this is symmetric, and now this is not, this is unsymmetric, as the gateway's configured IP address is 20.0.0.3, right? So if we see it's in debug IP route, you can see what it is receiving. It is receiving the summarized network. Here, when it was /25, it was receiving two networks, 0 and 64. When it was /26, it was receiving all three, 0, 64, and 128. But here, when it comes to 33, it is getting a summarized one because due to /8 and here /26. Both are unsymmetric, right? But now, when it comes to the installing part, it is installing 172.16.0.0, right? So yeah, this was it. There is also one concept that we learned in that load balancing topology. Let me open it for you and we'll see the debug IP route for that. We'll understand something out of that also. Here also, if you see in the case of R2, R2 is having the information about the whole major network, right? But it do not have any information or specific information about the subnets of its own, because if you look at this, the way it's getting information, the topology here is discontiguous, right? We have two subnets, but it is getting separated by two different networks, 20 and 30. And also here, if you see, it is having equal distance, equal distance, but multiple paths. So this is where we have to use to communicate or to send the packets, we have to use load balancing, right? So in this case, it is having the information about the major network, 172.16.0.0, but not about the subnets, right? So yeah, this was it for this lecture. I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.